Synopsis of the books of the Bible. 1 Kings. By JND Darby. All scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. 2 Timothy 3 verses 16 and 17. Synopsis of the books of the Bible. By John Nelson Darby. 1 Kings, chapter 8. The removal of the staves, the absence of Aaron's rod and the manna, the ark at rest. The circumstances which revealed the character of this rest were remarkable. The staves, with which the priests had borne the ark, were now the memorial of their journeys with God, who, in his faithfulness, had led and preserved them, and brought them into the rest which he had prepared for them. But that which, in the passage through the wilderness, had been the token of their means of grace, was no longer in it. Nothing but the law remained there. Aaron's rod and the pot of manna would not have been in harmony with the glorious rain and the rest of Canaan. The law was there. It was the basis of the administration of the kingdom, and the rule of that righteousness which was to be exercised in it. The ark at rest. Jehovah's presence hallows the house. The ark of the covenant once set in its place of rest, Jehovah comes and seals it with his presence, and fills the house with his glory. Like the rod, the emblem of the priestly grace which had led the people, and the manna, which had fed them in the wilderness, were no longer there, so did the priesthood no longer exercise its ministry on account of the presence of the glory. Solomon as king-priest. For the moment Solomon fully assumes the character of priest. It is he who stands before Jehovah, as well as between Jehovah and the people, a remarkable type, as to his position, of what Christ as king will be for Israel in the day of his glory. He has built a house for Jehovah to dwell in, a fixed habitation, that he may dwell in it forever. Remark here also that all refer to the deliverance out of Egypt, to Horeb, to the law, and not to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. It was doubtless, up to a certain point, and fully so, typically, the fulfillment of the promises made to them, but Solomon does not refer to them as to his present position. This is seen in verse 56. Solomon's blessing and prayer. In examining the blessing pronounced by the king, which, like almost all that is termed blessing, consisted of thanksgiving, and his prayer, we shall again find the same principles that we pointed out at first, the fulfillment of the promises made to David as present blessing, verses 20 to 24, but the enjoyment of this blessing granted under condition of obedience, verses 23 to 25. The prayer sets the people under the terms of a righteous government, abounding indeed in kindness and forgiveness, yet one which will not hold the guilty to be innocent, and it presents God as the people's resource, when the consequences of their sin fall upon them according to the principles laid down by Moses in Deuteronomy and elsewhere. Moreover, while confessing that the heaven of heavens could not contain Jehovah, the king entreats him to grant every prayer that should be addressed to him in this house, a petition which was granted. Chapter 9 verse 3, so that the house was established as the throne of the God of heaven upon earth, the place in which he revealed himself, and in which he had put his name. This fact has a very wide bearing. It was the establishment of Jehovah's government upon the earth in the midst of his people, a government entrusted to a man, the son of David, so that it is said that Solomon sat upon the throne of Jehovah. This enables us to understand the importance of the events which took place under Nebuchadnezzar, by whom this throne was cast down, according to the judgment pronounced by God himself. The house was not elect, but, built under God's own direction, it was hallowed by himself, that his name might dwell there forever. The close of chapter 8 gives a very lively figure of Israel's millennial blessing.